So without wasting any more time, let's dive into section 1 and talk about the goal of lead capturing. Now, the whole point of lead capturing is to capture an individual's information, usually their first name, last name, phone number, and email. And that gives you the ability to continue the conversation, nurture that individual, build trust, build a relationship, and move them through your funnel until they become a customer. Once they become a customer, it's the same exact concept. You use that information to continue that conversation, to build a stronger relationship with them, to upsell your services, bring them into your big grand package, and maintain and retain that relationship going forward. So let's bring it back and talk about lead generation. And the first question that I often get asked by my clients is, what information should I be collecting? And that totally depends. And it depends on the value proposition that you're providing. If you're just trying to get somebody to sign up for an email newsletter, it's probably in your best interest to just ask for the first name and email. However, if you're providing an ebook or access to an event or a free live webinar, then you're likely going to be able to ask for a little bit more, like the phone number and email. The value proposition needs to be considered when building your lead generation funnel. If the value is not strong, if the value is not clear, then most people don't just give you their information to receive updates. They give you their information to receive value. Now, your updates could be valuable, and that could be part of your value proposition, but in many cases, you need to give somebody something that's going to solve a pain point, that's going to help them accomplish their desire, that's going to help them with their business or their personal lives. It needs to be a strong value in order to ask for what is considered very valuable to that individual. So let's move on to section 2 and talk about lead capturing techniques on your website. Now, lead capturing on your website is considered low-hanging fruit. It's generally easier than all of the other lead generation techniques out there. And that's because people are on your website, they're already actively looking at your businesses, they're likely already interested in your services. So asking them for their information is a little bit easier. There are 3 different types of lead generation elements that you can add to your website to capture individuals' information. So the first method to talk about when it comes to lead generation on your website is going to be embedded forms. You're going to want to put embedded forms in high traffic areas on your website, and usually the value proposition is just for email newsletters and updates and general business information. You can tie in potential discounts and promotions in the future into that to just really help add some additional value to it, but these are going to be forms on your main page, maybe your contact page, and it's going to ask for very simple stuff like your first name, last name, and email. I usually don't recommend adding phone numbers for this type of method, mostly because it is a very private, confidential piece of information for many people, and the value is just not strong enough to warrant that. However, the second tool to lead generation for your website is pop-ups. Love them or hate them, they can be very beneficial if used properly. Now, pop-ups are going to be intrusive, so you need to make sure that that value proposition is strong. Most of these value propositions are going to be access to free live events, free webinars, free ebooks, maybe strong discounts or holiday specials. In most cases, this is where you want to ask for that phone number because you're wanting to connect with them immediately. That pop-up needs to be strong and valuable. You are only going to be able to get away with the pop-up if that value proposition is strong. So make sure you limit usage to a pop-up for only specific events. Now, the third tool for lead generation on your website are going to be inline call to action forms. These are going to be directly associated to the content on the page. If you've got a blog talking about a specific topic and you have a cheat sheet or a spreadsheet that works in parallel with that blog, throw a form up there and provide that opportunity to submit your first name, last name, phone number, and email to get that cheat sheet in response. Alternatively, for your services page, if you have a spreadsheet or a PDF that documents things and makes things a little bit more clear or helps an individual make a decision going forward, you can add, again, a form onto that page that will trigger an automation and send an individual that PDF or spreadsheet immediately. The big key takeaway when it comes to lead generation for your website, and frankly, all lead generation, is that the value proposition needs to be strong and clear, and you need to make it easy for an individual to sign up. And that leads us to section 3, which is 3 additional lead generation techniques that you can implement into your business. And these are generally delivered through paid marketing or organic social media marketing. Now, the first tool or technique is just called lead magnets. And this is where you provide a PDF, a cheat sheet, an ebook, a mini course, access to a live event or a video series, but it's a strong value asking for the first name, last name, phone number, and email. Usually it's delivered through paid advertising on social media, but it can also be delivered through organic social media. It's just not going to get in front of as many people as you want. The goal of lead magnets is to get in front of as many people as possible to provide a strong value for as many people as possible so that you build that audience list quickly and effectively. The second type of lead generation technique that I want to talk about are contests and giveaways. And this can be a really great option or strategy to implement into your business to get a lot of people really quickly into your audience lists. And that's because the value proposition you're going to be providing with these contests is going to be very, very big. I really recommend making the contests and giveaways anything over $500 or $1,000. This could be a huge chunk of your services. This could be multiple comprehensive consultations that you have with clients. This could be a huge package of goodies and products that's associated with your business. The point that I'm trying to make is that your value proposition needs to be very big. Contests and giveaways don't do well if you're providing something for free that's under $100. In many cases, people think that they can just go out and buy that themselves. So you want to make it big and grandeur. By doing this, you're going to get a lot of people signing up quickly. Now, the last lead generation technique that I want to talk about are quizzes. Now, BuzzFeed actually made these really big back in the early 2000s. These are going to be forms on your website that take people through a few different questions and lead them to a result telling them about their personality or what services might be best for that individual. It could be specific strategies for that individual. These quizzes can be a little bit more complicated to build out because you have a lot of if-then statements, but you want to drive people to a call to action at the end of your quiz, and you want to ask somebody for their first name and email, first name, last name, phone number, and email in order to get the results. And by doing that, you're going to garner a lot of individuals interested in getting the answer for their quiz. Moving on to section 4, let's talk about lead generation techniques for individuals that don't want to fill out forms. And these are going to be chatbots or live chat boxes on your website or social media platforms. By adding these to your website, you have to ask individuals for the first name, last name, maybe their phone number for additional contact, and their email in order to trigger a conversation, talk to a live rep, or talk to a bot that will help them answer questions relative to your business and services. There are a lot of third-party plugins and applications that you can use for your website out there. And even Facebook and Instagram have automation prompts and systems that will allow individuals to start a direct message and follow through with some automated responses as well. These methods are really great to capture people's information, and furthermore, it can help you understand the type of questions that people are asking on your website. Moving on to section 5, I want to talk about offline lead generation. And these are going to be, of course, offline opportunities to capture somebody's information so that you can follow up with them later. Many of these offline opportunities are going to be at trade shows, networking events, meet and greets with clients, and in-person communication. The goal is to capture that person's information as quickly as possible so that you can, again, continue that conversation. The 3 most common lead generation techniques to use during these opportunities are going to be tablet forms or mobile forms that somebody can tap like an NFC chip, or it can be a quick link to go to in order to fill out some information. They could be QR codes. If you're at a trade show or a networking event, you could have a QR code on your business card. I've seen people put QR codes on their shirts as well that somebody can scan and immediately populate a form that you can connect with. And last but not least, you have the text to join lead generation. This is where you're going to tell somebody to text a message, say hello, or provide their first name and last name, and it's going to trigger a text message automation that sends an individual information in response. Now, if you're looking to go a little bit more old school, you can do pen and paper lead forms, have individuals put their first name, last name, and email on a piece of paper that you ultimately upload into your system later. Let me tell you though, from personal experience, people do not have great handwriting, and knowing what the difference is between a 1, an I, a little L, a 0, or an O is can be a nightmare. If you make any mistake with their name or email, they may not get the message, or you may embarrass yourself by misspelling their name, which is not great. So I definitely recommend focusing more on the digital format. Now, to conclude this video, I want to hit some very, very important highlights here. Number one, every lead that you generate should immediately populate into your CRM platform. When they go into your CRM platform, it will be in your best interest to filter them and to create special folders and files for those individuals and to state where they came from so that you can start filtering those individuals and send specific email campaigns to individuals that come through certain outlets. The second point that I want to make here, and this is extremely important when it comes to lead generation, and many states have different laws and regulations for this. California is very specific. New York is hopping on the same bandwagon, but in many cases, you have to have a consent box or a consent form in order to communicate with the individuals if you ask for their information. And this falls under the TCPA Act, the Telephone Consumer Privacy Act. They need to opt in to receive information. If they do not opt into that information and you send emails and you send messages to their phone number, you could be violating state and national law, and you could be subject to some hefty fines. So it's really important that, again, you look up your local laws, your local regulations, and you make sure that the forms and the lead generation techniques that you're using are legal. The third and last point that I want to make when it comes to lead generation, and this is really good when it comes to your website ranking, your domain ranking, and your email safety and spam reporting. If you start generating a bunch of leads and you have email automations set in place, which you should, really pay attention to that open rate and that engagement rate. In some cases, people won't engage with your emails that you've got automated after they've received that value proposition. And in cases like that, you really want to filter those individuals out, unsubscribe them, and remove them from your list. I know you paid to get that lead, but if that lead is not going to engage with your business, it's only going to hurt you if you continue to send them messages and you keep them in your CRM. Not to mention that many CRMs charge for how many contacts you have in your system. So if this person's not engaging, it's in your best interest to remove them so you don't have to pay for them in the first place. And that wraps up Module 4.6, talking about lead capture techniques. I hope you learned a lot and you were able to look at your business and figure out where you can implement some of these strategies. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us via email, or you can always post your questions or concerns in the group community and people can help you out there. If you are already running lead generation strategies that are successful for your business, I would love it for you to post on the group community, let everyone know what's working for you and what strategies you've implemented into your business.